HICGI News Agency is here at COP29, where the United Nations Framework Convention on Climate Change is happening in Azerbaijan at the Olympic Stadium of Baku. I've just been joined by a Ugandan delegate. Could you please introduce yourself?
Yes, I don't know, good morning, good afternoon, wherever you are listening in from or you're watching from. My name is Phionah Boonabaana and I am a Ugandan delegate at COP29, but also I represent my organization, which is Boona Inclusive Foundation, which is advocating for the rights and inclusion of people with disabilities in climate change negotiations, but also climate change decision-making processes. So I'm happy to be joined by you. It's a pleasure.
Could you please tell us more about how the organization operates?
Well, like I mentioned, my organization is typically a grassroots organization that is advocating for inclusion and the rights of persons with disabilities in climate change. So we work with young people and the youth and the elderly and the women in those communities that are disaster hotspots. For example, in Bududa and in Kasese, where floods are happening. So we go to those communities, give them climate education and how they could prepare for such disasters in case they happen, and build their resilience and capacity to adapt to such circumstances.
Talking about Bududa, I think it's about 4 years ago we experienced a very heavy landslide in that site, but people have refused to get out of that place even after those threats. What is that you are doing to sensitize masses about staying in those volatile places?
Yes, thank you so much. And like I mentioned, most people that are vulnerable to such disasters are people with disabilities. So if you do not provide a plan for example, displacement, you try to shift them from one place to another, a person is going to resist that kind of movement. If they have no future for where they are going, maybe they do not have surety that you're taking them to a safer place, they are going to stay in that place even when they know it is risky for their lives. So I think there has to be like a planning mechanism for easy displacement of, transfer of these people from such hotspots to better places for stay.
Coming to COP29, where we are assessing loss and damages, what do you say about that?
Still, I am going to speak for people with disabilities. I've been so much involved in these negotiations, especially for the loss and damage, and specifically on paragraph 8, which has been focusing on vulnerable groups, which included women, children, and gender. And I did not see in any text the inclusion of people with disabilities. And yet we are disproportionately affected by the climate change disasters. So I raised a voice in that line, but as you know, negotiations are very technical, so I pray that it is adapted or it is adopted in the text, and that will ease us, because that means that if it is included in the text, then we are able to also have access to that kind of fund, the loss and damage fund or the climate finance that is being proposed at this COP29.
Phionah, do you have any final remarks while here in Baku, Azerbaijan?
Any final remarks is that I am calling upon not only youth and everyone, because climate change does not affect you according to how it would love to. It affects everyone. So I call upon each one of us to take the lead in the fight against climate change. If it is a small initiative in your village that you're doing in regards to finding solutions to that kind of problem or challenge you're facing, be it extreme weather events, be it the drought, be it the floods. If you have any solution, do not sit on it. Maybe it is that one thing that is going to help that community build their resilience and their capacity to adapt. So I call each one of us to be at the front line. That's the right word, to be at the front line and involve themselves in these kinds of talks. It's not just like we are here to talk, but we are finding spaces. We are trying to find spaces on how to best advocate for our communities. And of course, my community has to be Uganda and its small territories down there, the grassroots people that we represent. So thank you so much, Benjamin, for hosting me here, and I look forward to more conversation in this line.
Excellency, the Secretary General of the United Nations, Antonio Guterres, and Executive Secretary of the United Nations Convention Framework on Climate Change, Sir Simon Stian. These have been some of the messages and voices that are starting and coming out at COP29 here in Baku, Azerbaijan, and calling upon nations to be able to listen to people's voices. My name is Kivumbi Ernest Benjamin. We have HICJ News Agency here in Baku, Azerbaijan.
It was a pleasure.
Thank you.